We're good. I think we're live.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, it's been a while, but we are back, and I'm very excited that we're back. How you been doing, Lee?
Yeah. Oh, great. It is good to be back. It makes me smile just seeing your face and knowing what we're doing. I love this. This is a great
Yeah,
thing we have.
it is great. So we've had a bit of time off, haven't we? But so I think we had a bit of a kind of a soft launch, didn't we, before? And we had some great feedback. I know I did. I don't know. Did you get some great feedback, Lee?
Oh, so much great feedback. Like it was people just talking about how much it helps them. And I think our original plan is just so beautiful, just two people linking up and just trying to help people in short. And I think we both have two gifts and they overlap each other well. And meaning that how deep you take things is something really cool. And I try to keep things pretty simple. So I think we can resonate with a lot of people that way and make sure we get all the way around a topic. And when you're only talking to one person, no matter how good that person is, you're only getting one side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the name, I think we picked a really good name, right? Theory meets practice. And that kind of suits us really well. And exactly what you said. We come at things from different sides. And I think that went down really, really well. And I had a lot of positive response from that. So I think we've decided we're going to go gung ho with it, right?
Yeah, we're going full blast. And just so you know, anybody that's listening, we're going to do this one a little different. We're going to tell you our why, but I want you, if you have a question, go ahead and ask it, and we will try to answer it as we're going along. Just as Rooster Fetcher says, you are both so very gifted. You teach us so much. Thank you. You are welcome.
Yes, you are very welcome.
Compliments go, I don't know about you, Yogi, but compliments go a long way on keeping me motivated.
Yeah, definitely. I try not to go too red.
That's right.
But when I get back from my tour, we decided we're going to do this on a weekly basis, right?
Yeah. We're going to get on here and try to make it every Thursday.
Yeah, brilliant. And we're just going to go through all the stuff. And I think the beauty of it is that we can talk about anything, right? We talk obviously about farrier and about shoeing, but we can talk about the business aspect of it. We can talk about all different types of things, and it's just going to be us talking about the farrier world and the horse world, and we're excited to have you all on board and hear all your questions and understand what you want us to talk about. So I'm really excited for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So don't be afraid to fire off your questions. And
I can't see him at the minute, so you'll have to.
Oh, I got you.
You got me. Cool. So today we decided we were going to talk about our why, right?
Yeah.
Talk about why we've decided to do this. And really, this is about, I'm passionate about continual professional development. And I'm passionate about always moving forward, taking the industry forward, and taking myself forward. And I've definitely, you've inspired me. So, Lee, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with that, your story of progression?
Yeah, well, I'll try to keep this simple and short, but the reality is that I learned how to shoe horses at a very low level when I grew up ranching in South Dakota, in the middle of nowhere, and it's pretty primitive stuff. And I learned how to shoe just to shoe my own horses, and I was rodeoing and all that stuff. And then I built a business, moved to Texas, built a business, just shoeing out of a bucket and anvil on the tailgate kind of a thing. So, and then I couldn't charge any more money, so I went to certification so that I could charge more. Was the only fact. I talked about getting my certification like I was going to pick up a bucket or something there, and then I went there and failed, and it was the most awakening moment there was, because I was hit hard with, you don't know what you don't know, and clearly I didn't know very much. So from that moment on, education has been huge for me. And one thing I have never forgotten from that moment is how important it is to keep going, because if you're not going forward, you're falling backwards. And I just want to help as many horses and help as many people as I can. And my story, I highly advise not to do my story, but it gives me a perspective to where I don't care how low your skills are. You'll never catch me belittling you. The only people I'll go after are people that are belittling other people. That's the only ones. So you can truly come forth with me with an open mind and just share what's going on, and I'll never call you stupid. Promise that.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I think it is a similar story to me, really, because I remember it must be about 10 years ago now, where I was really struggling with the job, and I was turning up to jobs, and I was thinking, why? Like, this isn't going right. Like, I'm just coming back and I'm seeing the same thing and I'm doing the same thing, and I'm not getting the results. And I was very close to, and also it's very lonely. I found it very lonely. And I was very close to quitting. And thank God for my wife. She said, right? You can't quit, because the only reason I fancied you was because you were a farrier. So I was like, okay, so I can't quit that. So I was like, right. So the only way I can keep at this is if I go forward. Like you were saying, it was I'd stopped going forward, so I was going backwards, and that's the truth. And so I said, right, what am I going to do? I need to take myself forward, and that's when I did my degree. That's when I went on to do the degree. And then when I did the degree, all of a sudden I saw all of the whys and all of the stuff that I didn't know, that I didn't know that I didn't know. And then I saw all the research that was going on. I was reading these papers and I was thinking, hang on a minute. This stuff wasn't getting to me when I was out in my truck trying to shoe these horses. If I'd known this information, I would have, looked at things differently. And so I was like, right, this is a gap that needs to be bridged. We need to get the information that's on these university shelves. We need to change it into something that's more understandable, and I do my best with that. And that's why we created this, to try and make it even more understandable for people. And I thought that needs to get to the right people. And for me, opened up a whole new world of critical thinking, and drove me forwards. And Lee, you've hit the nail on the head. If we're not going forwards, then we go stale and we start moving backwards. And
the scariest part of that is that the horses are going to pay the price.
It's so true. It's so true. And we humans, we're complacent. Humans get complacent, and you even think that you're at the same standard as you were 5 years ago. But if you haven't moved forward, you've probably moved backwards. Even if you think you're at the same standard. So so I think it just the importance of continually developing yourself. And I loved your talk at the summit, where you talked about the different chairs and the guys sitting in the different chairs, and looking back on yourself. I thought that was brilliant. And but it's so true. We have to keep moving forwards. And that's what we want to help people with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you that don't know, at the International Hoof Care Summit this year, I ultimately referenced myself in a timeline, and myself prior would have thought what I was talking about was very dumb. So ultimately you got to have an open mind. But one thing, Yogi, I want to know is that, in America, I mean, your country's ways and everything is pretty crazy, really not crazy, just so different. So would you just take just a minute and just tell us who you are, where you live, what you do? Give us a little more insight, because in America, anybody can be a horseshoer. I mean, you can not even know a horse and you can say you're a horseshoer, and you're a horseshoer. So fill us in, give us the full picture a little bit.
So, well, the UK is going through a lot of changes at the moment with the farriery training and this and that. But I can certainly tell you what it was when I trained, and it's still pretty much like that now. So I'm from the UK. I am a DIP WCF, but I've also gone on to do my BSc honours, and I've also now gone to university and done my postgraduate research certificate. So I have a postgraduate certificate in research methods. So I've gone down the academic route, but in the UK, to shoe horses, you have to become an official apprentice to a farrier, and then you have to go through the course, which when I was doing it was, I want to say 4 or 5 years. You go to college for a few weeks at a time, twice a year, and you had to pass that block to get on to the next stage. And then you take your final exams, and that's what was with the Worshipful Company of Farriers. And that's when you got your diploma of the Worshipful Company of Farriers. Now, at the moment, the examination process, I believe, is with a different body, but it's a similar process. So you can't shoe horses in the UK unless you're an official apprentice or you're a qualified farrier. So you've gone through that process. And then after that, you can do further training. So you can either do the associateship of the Worshipful Company and the fellowship of the Worshipful Company, or you can go down the academic route. It's still practical stuff as well, but it's a different route, which is the Diploma of Higher Education and then your Bachelor of Science with honours. So I went that route because I was very much interested in understanding and knowing the whys. Okay, so I really wanted to know, why do we do what we do, and the science behind it. So, and I like to have a good old geek out on all the science. So I went down that route. And then I finished that, and then I then went to university, to Hartpury, and done my postgraduate certificate. I published a paper off the back of my BSc and that, and now I am hoping to do my PhD, my doctorate, through publication. So I'm hoping to get a load of papers out and then compile them together to form a thesis for a PhD.
That's
so
awesome.
That's what I've done.
That's cool, man. So for those of you that don't know, the Worshipful Company of Farriers is the organization in England, and they have been around for 670 years. America itself was founded 250 years ago. So to me, that is mind-blowing how long that y'all have been at it. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So you've just passed an exam though, right?
Yeah, I passed my therapeutic endorsement with the American Farriers Association, and I passed my certified journeyman farrier a while back, but it's kind of interesting, you know, like I tried to take that test a couple years ago, maybe 3, and I kind of, old habits die hard, I guess. I had that attitude that where like I am a therapeutic farrier. I work on crazy stuff every single day, and that is a terrible plan. And ultimately, I failed, and passing or failing the CF was a moment where I knew I had to get better. But failing the therapeutic exam a few years ago was probably the only time in my life I've truly felt dumb, because they sit down and interrogate you the same way they do the AW in your country. And that's what it's molded after. And I'm telling you what, like they got nothing on the KGB. Like they'll ask you a question and they'll zero response. So like, I feel like I'm decent at reading people. Doesn't matter. You ask a question with them and they look and they go, like, so the coolest thing I did for my therapeutic, if anybody is looking, and it helps for other exams too, they have other programs, but Heather Beauchamp has a course, and it's, excuse me, I can't think of what it is, but if you just search it up, Heather Beauchamp, she's got it. It's like Test Smart, I think maybe. But anyway, it was awesome. And the coolest thing is I'm busy like everybody else. I got a family, studying's hard, just like you, Yogi. And she would give me weekly cases to work on, and it changed my life. And people don't get it is the hardest part, and it's fine. I didn't do it for them. Even Jamie's veterinarian asked her, "Is like, why is Lee doing that? He's already charging a lot. He's already doing a lot. What could that really help?" And I find that crazy that a veterinarian would say that, because if anybody understands higher education, it would be them. But anyways, my answer to that would be is that I do it for me and to make me better, because it challenges me and finds all my holes, and then I get better. So ultimately, just trying to share our experiences.
Yeah. Well, I found the same, and I found when I started taking my continual professional development seriously, I fell in love with the job. And that for me was an eye opener, because farries is hard work, right? And you go out every day in your van or your truck on your own, and you're shoeing these horses, and you get pulled around, and things aren't going right. It can be difficult. It can be hard, and sometimes, let's all be honest, it can be difficult to stay in love with the job. Absolutely. But I found that when I went back to really start to go, okay, I want to know what I don't know. I want to better myself. I want to really go do this properly, take it to the next level. And I found myself falling back in love with the job. And so I want to say to anybody who's like that, because I know a lot of farriers do feel like that they're just going through the motions, or they're falling out of love with the job. If you look to better yourself and you look to take it to the next level, it does help you fall back in love with the job. I don't know if it was the same for you, Lee, or not, but certainly
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. I think burnout is the worst thing for farriers, and that happens even worse when you're by yourself.
Definitely. So we want to be here for people to help them on that kind of journey, and to share the things we're learning, and just be somewhere where people can come and with their questions and teach us too. We can, and like we had Ramon on one of our episodes. It was great to learn from him. I'm sure we'll have other people on as well. That would be great. So we've covered quite a lot already, didn't we, Lee?
Yeah,
we only did a few, but we covered a lot already.
Well, that's I think that's the one thing that we have to be careful about, is when we get on a topic and then it just kind of takes off on its own, especially when you get questions. But that's a beautiful part, though. We can take it wherever the listeners want it to go.
I see Levi saying the why is what keeps me questioning my work on the day-to-day. I'm very excited to have Yogi out to Arizona in a couple of months. Thank you both for starting this up again. It's very appreciated. And you know Levi, don't you?
I do. Yeah, he's amazing, and he's got a buddy, Diego, and they are a handful. Those guys are going to do big things. Love those guys. You're going to love them, Yogi.
I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see you, Levi. I'm looking forward to it. But
tell us about your tour, since we're talking about that anyway. You're coming to take over America?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe the start of it. So I've always loved coming to America. I've come to America a few times, and the hunger that I see in a lot of people to learn, and it's been great. And so I said, okay, I want to do a tour. So I just put it out there, and the response was incredible. I had message after message after message of people saying, I'll host you. So yeah, so I'm doing a whole tour now of 8 different states. It got so crazy. I was like, I've just realized I actually need a proper visa for this now, because in the past I've just come over on an Esther. I was like, that's not going to work this time. I'm going to be there for 3 months, 8 different states. And also, I'm really excited. I'm going to go and see Ramon in Costa Rica as well and do a clinic there. So that's going to be fantastic. But I'll have to, let me tell you now, I'll tell you all the different states I'm going to.
Yeah, where are you going?
And I really appreciate the guys who have reached out to me. So I'm going to Georgia and then Florida. I'm doing a couple of clinics in Florida with Florida Farrier Services, who, shout out to them because they helped me with my visa. They've done an incredible job. So thank you guys for that. And then I'm going North Carolina, California, Ohio, Arizona, Wisconsin, Oregon, Virginia, and Kansas. So it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward. And obviously, we're going to have to do something in Texas another time, aren't we, Lee?
We're going to have. I think a joint clinic would be so much fun. There's so many things we could do.
Yeah, definitely. So, if anyone wants to see me in person, please book onto one of those if you can. It'd be great to see you guys.
Tell them how to do that. Okay. Do they have to reach out to the individual hosts, or is there a way to sign up with you?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Didn't realize that was connected. So each clinic is being hosted individually by the host. So you can go on the Equine Documentalist page and see all of the different posters and all the different contact details. But yeah, they have to book in with the individual clinics.
So that's the equinedocumentalist.com?
Yeah, or just go on the Facebook page, the Equine Documentalist, and you'll see the different places, and there'll be emails and phone numbers for you to go ahead and book some tickets. I know some of them they're booking up pretty fast, so I'm really excited. So I can't wait.
Do you hear that, folks? You think long, you'll think wrong. Get on there before it gets full.
Yeah, it's not long now. I leave next week.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So speaking of that, go ahead. Start it off. Where?
Yeah, starting off in Atlanta, Georgia, with Sarah. I have to remember the name now.
We're after Georgia.
In the past, I've just come over on an Esther. I don't know.
Where are you going after Georgia?
Then I'm Georgia, then Florida. Florida.
Nice. Then where?
Yeah. Making me. So then Florida, and then North Carolina.
Sweet.
And then California. And then Ohio. And then Arizona. That was pretty bad booking, that was, because I'm going that way and that way.
Right.
And then Wisconsin, and then Oregon, Virginia, and Kansas. So
I think next time we should talk, and maybe we can do some state grouping, like Midwest, East.
Yeah.
West.
Yeah. Well, the problem was the dates just kind of got booked up as they did, and then it was ended up. I was like, well, that probably should have gone the week before. But no, I'm looking forward to coming to your place, Lee. I think it'll be, if we do a joint clinic, it'll be really something. That'd be great.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
So why don't we remember what we've gone through before? Shall I pull up the?
Yeah, let's do that. And keep in mind, folks, if you're listening, if you got a question, let it rip.
So we went over the banana shoe. That was with Ramon. We had Ramon for that one, didn't we? Over looking at the banana shoe.
That was so fun working with Ramon. He is a farrier from Costa Rica. So cool. Love that guy.
We talked about the point of balance, and we talked about that was a really good one, wasn't it? Because we talked about your example from the summit, the case that you shared about taking the toes too short and those kind of things. We were talking about the ideal toe length. So that was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was so much fun because I'll try to find some examples here, but that was so much fun though, because one of the biggest things in shoeing horses in America is a setback toe. And then you've got an equal argument of leaving toes too long. Well, the reality is that both are bad. And there we go. Look at that.
There we
Okay,
go.
so this horse is hard because he wants to grow a long toe, low heels. As you can see, that foot is trying. But as I changed the mechanics in the shoe, we got out of this big breakover shoe with pads, because historically he would get sore heeled if you didn't put a pad on, but also I was pairing it with a setback toe. But if you don't do a setback toe, well, then the toe gets long. So it was this huge conundrum that, I mean, it was a no-win situation. And, you know, we can argue these cases on good horses, but that's all fun and games till you get a horse that has feet like this. And the fun part about this, and I presented at the summit on this horse, is that this was a horse you couldn't be fired from. This was my wife's horse. And the reality is that he wasn't lame, really. He just wouldn't run as fast in the barrel racing. And if this horse would run a 17.3 when his feet hurt, and he has run a 16.9, and that's on a standard pattern when he does feel good. So that is a huge difference. So it's not just lameness when you start shoeing at a higher level. Like, they want to get the most out of their horses. And the short version is shoeing this horse this way for over 2 years, probably. There's been no pads, no special shoes, and no heel lameness. But the thing is that changing the way I shoe him means a salad bowl shoe, which you can see the cup underneath the shoe. The outside of the shoe is a tick higher than the inside. And then this right front, that's the worst foot, is tipped up in the front, meaning a rocker toe. And I used to think rocker toes were stupid until I learned how to put them on correctly, and then they were pretty good. So it's kind of like anything, you know, like it's application beats product every time.
Definitely. And one of the things that we talked about, there's some more of your cases there. One of the things we talked about, let me see if I can find it, was I have to go through the whole thing here.
I think you're going the wrong way. Oh, was that it? Yeah, there we go. Bingo.
No, I'm trying to find the bit where we had the shoeing for performance versus therapeutic shoeing, and there it is. So we were talking about proportions and toe length and those kind of things, and understanding the ground reaction forces that are created in the different situations and how you can use them for therapeutic effect. But the therapeutic effect doesn't always relate to performance, right? And that was the conversation that we had, which was a really interesting conversation to have. So these are the kind of conversations that we're having, and then they're really fun and interesting. So I'm really looking forward to getting back into them.
Absolutely. Sure. That, just before you change it, that picture on the left, that is such a great picture. I love that, the black-footed horse right there. But if I remember right, that is one of your oh shoot, can't even think of it. Polo.
Yeah, and that's
it. The story on that horse, though, it's almost it's deceiving, because you look at that foot and it's like, well, why don't you just shoe them all like that? Tell them what you had to do to get that foot to look like that. You had to shoe them like the one on the right.
That's right. So at the beginning of the season, the horse came in with completely collapsed feet from the winter, because the English winter is so wet, all the feet just completely collapse. So he came in with completely collapsed feet. So we had 1 or 2 shoeings before the horse was going to start training hard, and then we had a few more shoeings until they were going to start playing hard, right? So I had to get the feet to what we see on the left in a very short time. So the reality is that we had to shoe like the shoeing on the right hand side, where we have the proportions around the center of rotation. We reduce the ground reaction forces at the heels to help them develop. And then just in time for the really important competitions, when this horse has to really perform, we managed to get our base proportions around the point of balance, but with a nice, strong, solid, upright foot with a straight hoof past an axis. And that was the discussion, was sometimes you have to have a journey. You need to go on a journey to get to the place where you want. But the reality is that this horse, the Blackfoot on the left, if you shoe him when he's playing hard, 50-50 around center of rotation, he gets a lot of suspensory problems. Because if you shoe him 50-50 around the center of rotation, the whole point of the conversation was the toe digs in on a soft surface, and this was putting excess strain on his suspensory. So we had to shoe him 50-50 around the center of rotation to develop the back of the foot, to get to the foot on the left. But once we got here, we had to shoe around the point of balance when he was at really performing hard. Otherwise, he would get suspensory issues and performance issues. So we just had a whole discussion about, therapeutic shoeing versus performance shoeing, and the journey between the two, and understanding that it's not one size fits all.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite parts about that whole conversation was your point of pressure is what you call it, right?
Point of balance.
Point of balance. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the difference is that if you look at the picture on the right, it is in the middle of the circle, and that is center of rotation. And if you look at the left, that is what we're talking about. And the biggest argument, and one of the questions I had at the summit is, well, then why don't we just shoe them all around center of rotation? Well, that was the take home on the case that I just showed you, is that's the mess that you get in, is because you've got to do some things to that foot, either mechanically or just setting the foot back to do that are going to cheat. And your favorite saying of mine is, it robs Peter to pay Paul, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So anytime you cheat, it's going to be a bad deal. So doing it correctly is the art, and that is why all of this continuing education, I think, pays off for everybody, is that it's a hard job. And you just don't get to read a book and then shoe horses.
That's right. And the thing is this kind of understanding, this kind of detail is what changes you from someone who can shoe horses to somebody who can look after top performance horses, right?
Right.
Because then you start understanding what you have to do for that horse, for the job that it's going to do, to create the ground reaction forces that horse needs, to prevent it from injuries that individual is prone to, these kind of things. And understanding the science and the biomechanics of it is what takes you to the next level of being able to provide performance and tweaking things like in a Formula One car. You start tweaking little things because you're understanding the biomechanics and stuff. So that was the conversation we had, and it was a really great one. And we're going to have many more like that.
Oh, absolutely. But I just want to interrupt before you change, because you said one thing too that I think is really the secret sauce on higher education. So you're talking about shoeing around center of rotation made the suspensory sore. So I think that's one great big misunderstanding in America anyway, is that they got low, so they hurt the suspensory, or the low heels, or run forward toe. So he hurt the suspensories. I have one simple, I want you to answer why that happened, but I'll go first. I have one simple statement. As far as when it comes to helping horses, they'll be like, oh, the farrier crippled him, or oh, this happened, or this guy ruined him. I don't believe that happens. I mean, yes, you can set a horse back by not helping them, but I think their conformation is what wrecks them in environment and their job that they're doing. Farriers don't set out to ruin your horse. What ends up happening, though, is not staying on top and being proactive like you were with this black-footed horse on helping them, getting them what they need. They're just some horses, just like people, like you got to watch out for this horse because his conformation wants to do this, or that horse. Put simply, if I live by this, if you put it back where God meant it to be, everything's going to be fine. So it might take time to heal, but so if that horse is run forward, well, then you need to shoe around center of rotation. If that horse is really low, well, then maybe you need to put some pads on it, rehab the back of the foot, get it back where God meant it to be, and then back out of all that stuff. All the crazy stuff we put on our horses at Olsen Equine that are struggling, the goal is to get out of them. the goal is to treat it like it's a prosthetic to give the horse what he needs until you can get it back. And lastly, some horses you can get it out of them once you fix the problems and then get back into normal shoeing. Some of them, it just ain't going away. It's just too far gone, and they're going to need those appliances for a while. So I always say, if man made it, man can create, man can fix it. But if it's too deep of a conformational issue, then they're probably going to have to need that. But at the end of the day, if we're talking a pad, a bar shoe, shorter shoeing cycle, well, then that's a lot cheaper than annual or a lot cheaper than a lot of injections or vet or all this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that's one of the things that I've found. That is, you have to understand that you're always change. You always need to be adapting to what you're seeing in front of you, because there's so often I turn up to a horse that's in a bar shoe or something, and or I think I actually gave an example in that talk that we had, where I had a horse that had wide toe shoes the season before because it had some suspensory issues. And
Right.
then we came to the first shoeing of the next season, and they
Love
said,
this story, by the way.
you need to put this horse in suspensory shoes. I was like, why? So we haven't even started the season yet. And they were like, well, because we put them on last year. I was like, yeah, but the suspensory's healed since then. If I put the suspensory shoe on, it has other consequences. And so it's understanding what to do when to come out of it, when to change things, and that's about being proactive, like you said, Lee. It's about, and in order to be proactive, you need to have the understanding, and that's the point of the professional development, is to understand what the latest research is saying, and then be able to apply that in practice, as and when you need to do it, and be and adapt and be proactive. And I think that's really the importance of what we're doing, and of continual professional development.
Absolutely. And one more take home on that topic before we move on is the importance of annual x-rays, is because your horse today is a very different horse than he was a year ago. So just checking on that can go a long way.
So Levi's just asked a question. He's asked, when shoeing around point of balance, what marker would you use to decide it's time to re-shoe the horse? When shoeing around core, you have the point of balance as another marker to re-shoe the horse when the base proportion has moved forward. Okay, so that's a great question, right? Because we want to keep the base proportions ideally within these two markers that we put. So within the center of rotation to point of balance. Now, that is something that you can monitor using hoof balance. Using hoof map. Is you can take the photo at the beginning of the cycle, and then you can take it in the middle, and you can see what are the base proportions around now. Now, Levi's question is, when do you decide that you're shoeing around point of balance is time to shoe it? Well,
that is a great question.
If you're shoeing around point of balance, you should be on a very short cycle, because you don't want to go. My criteria is just behind the point of balance line to just in front of the point of balance line. It's literally, for me, it's that close. But that's why our polo horses are shod every 28 days, 21 to 28 days maximum, because as Levi is hinting at, if those base proportions start moving in front of that point of balance, then you're getting to a position where you're increasing strain on the tendons, and you're going to start, the foot's going to start tilting backwards on soft surfaces, and you're obviously going to have issues with DDFT, navicular, those kind of things. So it's a great question, because it's really important to understand that if you're going to shoe around point of balance, you have a very small window, a short window. You have to keep that. You have to keep that there. So, how often do you shoe your top performance horses, Lee?
Well, in America, I don't know about there, but a lot of people like 6 weeks. And I don't know why that's so ingrained in people, but I mean, some horse owners, they'll even try to go 7 and 8, but at the higher level, even pretty much every industry, they'll try to talk you into 6 weeks. And that has been one thing to where, as I've gotten older, it's 5 weeks, or maybe you should use somebody else, because it's going to make the horse do worse. It's going to make me look bad. And I know why some farriers say 6 weeks is because it's easier. You can trim more off. It's easier to nail. At 5 weeks, yeah, nail holes are going to be in your way. But the reality is, if you're trying to maintain a tough horse with some issues, well, then a shorter schedule is going to make it easier to be proactive and stay ahead of whatever issue you have. And my answer for you, Levi, on that would be, does the horse have pre-existing injuries? Does the horse have a healthy hoof capsule? Is everything good? Then good. If everything isn't good, then you probably need to help that horse with center of rotation shoeing and some added mechanics, in my opinion. Just know that if you start doing too much of that, you can create problems as well.
Yeah. So your base proportions have got to become individualized for every horse, because every horse is going to grow a different amount of foot, is going to grow at different angle. You know, if you have a more upright foot, the proportions move forward incrementally less than a horse that's lower, right? So every amount of hoof growth is more down or more forward. So every horse has to be individually assessed in terms of shoeing cycles. So, you know, that's part of the problem, right? Is that we've come up with these numbers: 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, but actually every single individual horse has to be assessed for their appropriate shoeing cycle, depending on the hoof conformation, depending on the amount of hoof growth, depending on the time of year. You know, so my polo horses, right in the middle of summer, their feet are growing like crazy and they're shod every 21 days. In the middle of winter, we can leave them 6 weeks and it's not a problem. They're not growing anything, right? So so there's so many variables for shoeing cycle length. So we have to be proactive again, and we have to individualize shoeing cycle lengths. It's a really, really important question.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So one thing that we haven't got to, Yogi, is like, we got more stuff we can talk about this that we've done. Don't forget, if you got a question, listeners, put it on here. We'll talk about it in time. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this call? Why are you making time when you haven't even told us about your family yet? You're a family man and got a lot going on. Why are you making time to do this?
That's a good question, Lee, because I'm doing this. It's a passion. I'm passionate about this horse wealth. I think reality is that I wrote a poem about it, and I share it at my clinics sometimes. But I write poetry. But if we have a responsibility to the horse, and I'm passionate about that responsibility, and in order to fulfill that responsibility, we have to be evidence-based. We have to be continually developing ourselves. We have to be on that forward journey and not being stale or backwards, because we owe it to the horse, because the horse is an innocent bystander in what we decide to do to them. And we have to do right by them. I'm very passionate about that. And also I'm doing it because of how taking this view on things, wanting to develop myself, looking into the science and research, how much it changed me and my work and my love for the job is something that I want to share with the industry. So that's why, and also because I just love talking to you, Lee, because I'm doing it for passion and for love and for help horse welfare and to give back, because I did fall in love with the job, and that's caused me to want to give back to the industry.
Absolutely.
So what's your why, Lee?
Oh, it's very similar, and I think that's why we make such a great team. I don't think that I've ever made a dollar, not very many of them anyway, that didn't go back to a horse somehow. So I owe a lot to the horse. When I was growing up, I was a cattle ranch, but horses were my passion, not cattle. And I don't know, I love them. I like them more than people, actually. A horse won't lie to you. A horse won't deceive you. Yeah, there's some horses that are bad-minded, but they're very similar to people, really. And it's so cool. And you always say that horses can't talk. And if I could talk to horses, I'd be at the racetrack, not shoeing horses. But horses can communicate, like they can tell you what they like. You just got to pay attention. And to me, that's where I really geek out, to where I'm like, I want to watch that. I want to watch that horse, especially when it's not doing anything. And I just like helping horses, and I like helping people too. I actually come from a family of teachers. Teachers and ranchers are what fill up my family tree. And I don't know, I guess I love helping someone who wants help. I quickly don't want a part of it if somebody doesn't want help, though. Like, you got somebody that you're helping, whether it's roping, horses, shoeing, business, whatever. Like, just be like, man, maybe this isn't for you. Like, maybe somebody else can help you or whatever. Because I get burnt out pretty quickly on things, mainly because I think I give probably too much of myself to it. So like if an apprentice, for example, say isn't pulling their weight and I'm trying harder than they are, I'll really get sick of them. Where if they're trying, I'll try really hard for them too. And kind of applies to everything. So by doing this short version, why is it gets to help people on a large scale. And every time you educate a horse owner, farriers, they're going to get pissed about this sometimes, but if you have an educated horse owner, they have been hands down the best clients for me, because not my education or my spin or my BS. Like if you have an educated client linked up with a good vet, you can really help horses. And I think that if you're afraid of annual x-rays, if you're afraid of an educated horse owner, then maybe some deep reflection on your methods and your skills, politely, would be a good thing. So trying to help people so that they can help their horses. That's why I'm here. And I'm trying to grow a bigger platform, if we're being honest. We've got a great office manager named Hope now, and we have got a plan to blow up social media as much as we can and get as many followers and just see where it takes us,
Yeah, absolutely. That's obviously definitely the same for me as well. I've always been a teacher. I've taught a lot of things in my time. I first taught Japanese jiu-jitsu. I was a third dan black belt of Japanese jiu-jitsu. I used to teach that. Used to teach kids. So I love teaching, and I love the fellowship of teaching, and like you say, when you get people who are excited to learn with you, it's something that's really wonderful. So that's part of the thing as well. And also I've spent a lot of people think that I sit behind a computer and I do a lot of this theory stuff, but I shoe a stupid amount of horses. A stupid amount of horses. Like, we look after depending on the season, between 600 to 800 polo ponies a month for 7 months of the year. And to be honest, I'm exhausted. And I'm really passionate. I've always been passionate about the Equine Documentalist platform. And I think for me, I really want to start to build that. So in a similar vein, I want to focus on what I love doing, which is teaching and helping the horse, which I think I can do more through the platform and through what we're going to do than I can from actually slogging my guts up underneath them.
Well, so absolutely. You can, even though that's a lot of horses, I mean, you could reach huge multiples of that if the goal is truly to help horses.
Exactly.
Hey, one more thing, Levi, you're going to get a kick out of this. How many people do you suppose know that you were a professional wrestler too?
I was not a professional wrestler. I did one or two shows, which is quite funny. It was because of my jiu-jitsu background. I had a friend of mine who was like, man, your jiu-jitsu skills are cool. They would look cool in the wrestling ring. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So I did a couple of WWE wrestling matches just for a bit of fun. That was fun. I've also competed at bodybuilding as well. So I've done a lot.
Like at your peak, what did you weigh and how tall are you?
Oh, I'm only little. I'm a little guy. I am 5'6.5" on a good day. And it depends how many horses I've shod. And I currently weigh 80 kilos. Because I'm cut at the moment. I always shred up for summer, but I sit around between 80 and 90 kilos. No, what's that? You work in pounds, right?
Yeah, that's like 180, something like that. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. No, it's at my heaviest, I'm just over 200.
Nice. That's awesome. And a black belt. That's pretty awesome. So collecting at the clinic should not be an issue. All right, we got a good question right here.
Yeah.
Baby farrier here. This is my 3rd year in business. I just experienced a major foot injury, non-farrier related, that sidelined me for the last 4 months. It's been a struggle mentally and now trying to gather business back. Any insights as to getting over the burnout back to building a business? That is such a great question, Caitlin. I'm sorry about your situation, but I promise you it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's difficult.
What I would focus on, Caitlin, is this. What, Yogi, you go after me.
Yeah.
Be the best version of yourself every day. You want to have a goal of being the very best farrier, and you will be, and you'll have all the best clients. If you focus on the goal of getting clients, it's going to be really hard. But if you focus on finding your weaknesses and making them better, I promise you'll have all the business that you want, because the goal isn't clients. The goal is high-paying clients that appreciate you and take care of you. You don't want to go work on these bad horses in bad situations for bad people. You want to work on great horses in good situations for great people. So the only way you're going to do that is if you're your best version. So don't let yourself get down. I've been burnt out on nearly everything I've ever done. And it's all the same thing. You're putting the focus on the wrong spot if you're like me. So you can do it. Keep your head up, and working out, eating right changes my life. And I bet that would help you too. And then spend the rest of your time figuring out how you can get your skills higher, and then figure out how you can put them on display. That's where posting on social media, you don't do it to brag. Like if you look at Old Sneakwine, like if you really take one big step back, pretty much every video historically has been, hi, I'm Lee with Old Sneakwine. This is what I'm doing today. And then at the end, have a great day. God bless America. So it's not like you're not coming at, you're an idiot. You need to shoe like me. I'm the best. I would encourage you just putting yourself out there and your product, and then people will see that. And even if you're talking to somebody, they're going to look you up, and then they can find all of that content that you've put out there. Other than that, if you feel like you're shoeing at a higher level, go get around some veterinarians and be like, hey, I'd like to come here for a day or two a week and just be here if you need something. And the goal of that would be is that they can see your skills. They can see that you're trying to help horses. If they see that, they will fill your book with clients. Yogi?
Yeah, I think for me, because I had to start again. You know, I said I nearly quit and I got discombobulated with the industry. Gave up a lot of my clients. So I've been in a similar situation where I had to start again. And you know what made the difference for me was enjoying the job again. So I stopped trying to chase the money. I stopped trying to do as many as I could. And I just took pride on every single foot that I shod. So when I put that foot down, I was thinking, oh, someone please come and pick that up, because I'm really proud of that job. And all of a sudden I was enjoying it again, you know? And for me, that I started to get excited again about going out and shoeing horses, because, all right, I'm going to take photos of everything I do today, and I'm going to be proud of every single foot that I do. And I'm going to be, I stopped thinking about the business. I stopped thinking about the money, and I just went back to enjoying myself. And the business and the money just came. It followed, because I was enjoying myself. I was taking pride in my work, and everything else just followed. And I think sometimes we get lost in, what can I do to get business? What can I do to do this? Just take pride, do the best you can, keep developing, and enjoy what you're doing, and the rest comes. And that's what made a difference for me.
That's good stuff right there, Yogi. And I think the best advice applies to everything in life, and that would fall into that category as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
Definitely. I'm going to take this off of the stage now.
There you go.
So I'm really excited we're going to hit the ground running when I get back from America, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
yes, sir. And Caitlin, you are very welcome.
You are very welcome. Thank you for the wonderful question. So we have 3 months between now and then for you guys to send in all the stuff you want us to talk about, all the interesting questions you have. And it's good when we come back in November. It's going to be great fun. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, please follow both of our pages and send us all the questions and stuff that you want us to talk about, and we're really excited to see what you have for us.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, I'll try to talk Yogi into slipping one in, because 3 months sounds like a long time to wait.
Yeah, we might have some time during the weeks while I'm in America. Just we see how exhausted I am, because it's going to be grueling. I'm really excited, but it's going to be exhausting.
Just so you know, guys, he was talking about wanting to do a clinic here. And what month were you talking about?
I can't remember. I think it was whenever it was going to be really hot, wasn't it?
Yeah,
November,
it's like, remember, we're talking to a guy in England, right? And he says, I want to come there as like the end of August or 1st of September. I was like, you have no idea. Like, this is literally hell here right now. Like, if you just give it a month or two, it'll be the coolest place ever. But
yeah,
pretty funny.
Yeah, but I think when I come to you, Lee, it's gonna be really special. So I think we could be a standalone thing, and that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. And thank you everybody for joining us today, and such great questions. And Yogi, I wish you the best on your tour, and I'm just so thankful that you're making time to do that. And in the meantime, everybody, don't be afraid to reach out to us and tell us what you want to hear about next, and we're going to come back in full force and hit you hard.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Well, what do we say, Yogi?
You say God bless America, and I say and everybody else. I think that's what
Have a great day, everybody.
See you later, everyone. Bye.
Bye.